This football season just gets more wild by the minute. The NFL has a flock of teams now at 2-0, and you had a thrill ride in the Rocky Mountains. Hello again, everybody. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
And I'm Shauna Adkison.
And this is the Gridiron Girls Podcast. This is show number 4, and we are in the door, and we're glad you walked in this door right behind us. And right up front, Shauna, what's news to you?
Well, what's news to me is the Bengals are 0-2. The Browns got a very terrible Monday night. And I learned a lot about a backup catcher in my state of Ohio.
Chelsea, how about you? What's news to you right now?
The father of our whole state of Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, is coming back this weekend. We've got through, I really consider it like the Taylor Swift Eras tour. We got so many different flavors of Michigan in the last few weeks. We had Mike Hart. We had Jim Harbaugh's dad on the sidelines. It's just been a really fun last few weeks, and I'm just really excited to get into the season. And I'm actually going back to Michigan for the first time in 4 years, doing an engagement party, doing that whole thing with the family, and hopefully watching a lot of college football in the same bar as I did when I was like 20.
All right, heading back home.
Yeah.
But one question. Jim Harbaugh is the daddy of Michigan. Where does that leave Bo?
He's the grandfather, obviously. I'm really into this podcast right now. It's called We're Not All Like That. It's by Spencer Hall from Shutdown Fullcast, and it really highlighted Bo in a good way, where it's more of a Mao Zedong thing, where you just get Boisms now, like the team. It's gonna be Michigan. It's gonna be Michigan. It's not really about him as a person anymore. He just kind of transcends it.
Now, what's news to me is my Steelers won. My Steelers won. But also, what's news to all of us is we're not alone this week. We have an honorary Gridiron Girl, and this is someone pretty sweet and pretty special. Now, you both know, and most of the people out there, Gridiron Girls fans of the podcast, friends of the podcast, know I got the opportunity to play some football this past year. And I got to meet an awesome group of women, a great group of sisters, Reapers Women's Football. We're already preparing for the 2024 season. And there was this one player. He was our speed wide receiver, our speed running back, our left-handed speed quarterback, and the designated outside twin turbo blitzer. And she's here on the podcast. Aniyah Booker, guest analyst. Welcome to the Gridiron Girls.
Welcome.
Hey guys.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. For real, I can't wait to talk about football with you guys. This is gonna be great.
Well, right up front, in this season so far, what's been news to you?
The Giants, they stressed me out last week, and then they halfway stressed me out this week. But the second half of the game kind of calmed my nerves a little bit this week. I kind of almost burned my jersey, but they saved themselves, so it's okay. We're going to stick it out on Thursday, see where we go.
I want to know, do you panic or patience on Daniel Jones?
Panic. I'm definitely panicking, dude. Definitely.
He's the quarterback of my fantasy team. I get it.
Yeah. Well, he's like unpredictable.
I don't know. I mean, but then again, the Giants have had people who've been unpredictable. I mean, remember, when I was in high school, when I was in junior high, there was a guy named Phil Simms. You were down on him too. Ended up winning a Super Bowl.
I know. You gotta trust the investment, man, because they dropped $250 million on this guy. I'm like, all right.
Wait a minute, what? See, I didn't know. Please, Aniyah, you've already earned your jersey here because they're paying him what?
Right, exactly. I'm thinking the same thing. Like, are you kidding me?
They're paying him okay, that's wow. Man, the football economy's out of control.
He's doing well.
looking at the NFL, taking a quick look at the headlines this week. In the NFL, I mean, for starters, how's this for a stat? Tua Tagovailoa is 5-0 career against Bill Belichick. In what
That's
universe
crazy.
does that work?
Can I just say, shout out to the lefty quarterbacks that we all doubt on, who, you think they can't make it in the NFL, but he's literally proving everyone wrong, and I love it so much. I'm so glad he got some weapons on him, and he's literally just doing everything he's supposed to do.
That's growing up as a lefty myself. I always loved the Steve Youngs, Mark Brunell, watching all of them play, and it's really cool seeing Tua have this success.
I really hope he stays healthy. Just last year was so disappointing seeing what he went through.
The health, for sure. They definitely doubt.
I love that he practiced falling in the offseason. I think that's a really that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Honestly, knowing how, I feel like so many players should, I always think of, LeBron James is famous for yoga because how important it is to stretch your ligaments, and one of the reasons why he's avoided a lot of major injuries in his career. All of those extra things you don't think of as being about your sport, they're so helpful.
That is true. You want to stay stretched out. You want to stay limber. And let's not forget, a patron saint of lefty quarterbacks. Let's not forget about Ken Snake Stabler. Rest in peace. Even though I hate the guy because he's a Raider, I'm a Steelers fan. But no, Tua has been playing well. And did anybody see that Commanders Broncos finish? Did anyone
ridiculous? Ridiculous.
My poor guy Russ, he can't catch a break. Not catch a break.
I mean, and now everybody's talking about Russell Wilson played an excellent game, and now they're still talking about giving up on it.
I think he's had a pretty good season so far, all things considered. He's got his main running back, Javonte Williams, coming off an ACL tear last year, and so he's starting to get back into form. I think give him time.
Definitely, they put up 30 points, so I think that offense isn't really their struggle right now. I'm kind of blaming the defense for this loss, really. I think Russ definitely showed up, though, this week.
Yeah, you have to stop a rookie quarterback. But, credit where credit's due. Sam Howell is playing his ass off right now.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, Monday night. I mean, Shauna, we're going to talk about it.
I know we are.
Let's talk about it. We got to talk about it.
Monday was a very, very sad day for me. First and foremost, nothing but the best prayers, thoughts, and wishes to Nick Chubb, who is, the heart and soul of that team, an all-around beloved guy, and I think you saw the outpouring on social media. And I'll be honest, I do have thoughts on that. I think that diving downward at a player who's already being tackled, I don't know if you can say it's dirty, but it's not clean either. And that
was a Joey Porter
situation that
thank you.
There have been too many injuries by the Steelers against the Browns in that sort of way that it feels like it's a coaching thing. And frankly, Nick Chubb, you saw, was running roughshod over that team.
No, Nick Chubb runs roughshod over everybody.
Very true. I mean, they showed a stat where he's third in yards per carry in the modern era. We're averaging over 5 yards a carry. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I hope he's able to bounce back. It was a absolutely brutal injury.
No, I mean that's exactly what you don't want. You don't want the race and the division affected in that way. You want Nick Chubb out there. I want Nick Chubb out there.
And I do think Jerome Ford's going to be decent, and I may have picked him up on my waiver wire. But I hope that he's able to do well. And honestly, though, it all comes down to, speaking of overpaid quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson. Because he needs to pay up to that contract, and frankly, he was a big disappointment. And
I mean, yeah, that's an understatement.
Absolutely, yeah,
exactly. Doesn't help when you sack 6 times.
Well, and I think that's just it. I saw a statistic that he's been sacked more than Patrick Mahomes has in the last 2 seasons, and he only played like 4 games. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, his feel for the game, I think you can't keep blaming rust at a certain point. At some point, it's just the player that he is today, and you have to treat. If you try to treat him as Deshaun Watson of 2019, you're just going to be disappointed. And I hope that Kevin Stefanski can change the offense and make him successful. Otherwise, it's going to be another long season on the shores of Lake Erie.
Well, it may not be much better on the shores of the Monongahela either, because if it wasn't for 2 defensive touchdowns, Steelers lose.
Absolutely. The Browns defense is for real.
Having the Steelers defense on my fantasy team this last week, oh my god.
Okay, we're going to get into that later.
We're going to definitely get
such a pleasant surprise. Such a pleasant surprise.
I mean, overall, but college, quickly, looking at the college headlines. First off, you know what went down in Boulder. We know what went down.
We all know what went down.
Every single week, it's just like college football. It's just Deion. That's all it is anymore.
He's doing his thing. Like, I don't know. Headline.
There's so much crossover appeal too. I feel like he's really causing college football and is becoming such a part of pop culture at this moment, which is a really great way to see
the sidelines at that game. Oh my god.
The Rock
has defined pop culture and been headlines for so many generations. It's like ridiculous. Like, I wasn't even born yet, and he was
same.
He's doing this.
I remember playing on my Sega Genesis Deion Sanders primetime football.
Like, he had his own video game.
Oh my god, I have that game.
Wait,
right?
He had his own game?
I would play as the Lions because they had Barry Sanders and Herman Moore. And I thought that was a good combination. Or oh my gosh, Carl Pickens in Cincinnati.
Oh, it was
so much fun.
I had Deion on Tecmo Super Bowl as a Falcon.
Ooh, that's a good.
As a Falcon.
I never played much Tecmo. I really took until the Super Nintendo to get into football because I played a lot of Quarterback Club, and that was where I really started to get into even before Madden. That was my entry into playing a lot of sports video games.
Now, elsewhere, though, Bill Parcells once said,
they think you can just dial 1-800 and get a quarterback.
Bama needs to call 1-800-quarterback.
It's a mess.
It's definitely a mess, but I think they start Jalen Milroe. I think.
Well, they did announce Jalen start this week.
They didn't go many snaps last week, so come on.
They made him the starter out of camp for a reason, and you hope that they're able to put some wins together and start playing some good Alabama football, but it's not looking great.
I feel like Alabama's just in the position where they're we're supposed to win the national championship every year still, and if they have anything that happen, it's going back to just throw the other quarterback and one of these will stick.
Well, I think also what you're realizing, and that's one thing you've seen in college football, is that college football is building NFL quarterbacks again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a Sunday caliber quarterback, you will not be as successful.
Nick doesn't know what to do right now. He just had 5 back-to-back round quarterbacks. He has absolutely no idea what's going on with himself.
This football season is out of control, and we're going to have plenty of time to talk about it. When we come back, we're going to look at the NFL. We're going to look at what happened in the NFL LGBTQIA plus league over in the last week. A lot of wild stuff. And we're going to see what our favorite teams did. We're going to dig deeper in why Aniyah is so happy, why Chelsea needs to find a team, and why neither me or Shauna are satisfied. Aniyah Booker, welcome to the team. Along with Chelsea Poe and Shauna Adkison, I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb. This is the Gridiron Girls. We'll be back.
The numbers came in and more Americans watched the women's U.S. Open final than the men. This has consistently happened in tennis. Every single U.S. Open final, more Americans watch the women than the men. Now, obviously, Serena and Venus had a lot to do with that. There have been great women athletes for a very long time, laboring under horrible conditions, unfair pay. Let's unpack it some more. The U.S. Open is a rare case study of a women's and men's tournament played at the same time that are now, thanks to a lot of great work, Billie Jean King, providing equal pay, equal marketing support, equal stakes, equal everything. And so tennis, that's a women's game in America. That's fine. The men are still great. Here in America, the free market has a lot of weight because plenty of other sports are now getting this investment, getting this support. They have the talent. Don't get in the replies. Don't waste your time telling me how you don't care about women's sports. You'll never care about it. That's fine. Ask yourself, why is Brady an investor in the Vegas Aces? Why is the Mahomes family invested in the KC Current? Pay attention to your role models. See what they're doing. As a sports fan, we should celebrate this. More women having more opportunities to be professional athletes and make a living from it, get famous from it, get endorsements from it, all those things. It's a great thing. It's going to mean we'll get to see more greatness. Who doesn't like greatness? Whether it's a man or a woman doing it, just do yourself a favor. Pay attention. Women's sports, just getting started.
And across, it's in! Oh, it's LaRue!
Welcome back to the Gridiron Girls Podcast. We're going to talk some NFL right now. And right from the jump, okay, how's your fantasy team? Actually, Aniyah, are you playing some fantasy?
I actually am not playing any fantasy this year. I missed my deadline, and I did not get to drafts.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I'm wondering, if you had a fantasy team, who'd be your first pick? Who'd be the player you'd want? If you were the first pick in that draft, who would you want?
Pat Mahomes. He's automatic points every week.
That's my quarterback.
We had a derby in the Gridiron Girls this week to open it up. Chelsea,
Can I set the scene
get
for you
mad
here?
at each other. Go right ahead.
So,
Ohio against Michigan, it's a big thing.
Ohio versus Michigan, and it all came down to Monday night. I was up big, but then Chelsea had some pretty big players for her team. And so then I'm down 20 points, and I have Deshaun Watson versus the Steelers D-Runs.
Yes.
And I'm thinking I've got a legitimate shot because honestly,
Same.
I felt like we could do a real number, hopefully keep, get a high enough score that maybe even Chelsea will lose points. And Deshaun Watson can get 20 points, right?
That's what I thought too.
And moreover, I sat the aforementioned Daniel Jones because I'm like, oh, he's terrible. And of course, he blew up for 30 points on my bench, as did Rams rookie, Pakanakua. And so I had 60 points sitting on my bench, and I lost my ass off, and it was not great.
I had my best week possible. It's going to be the best of the year. I had 150 total.
You did. You had a great
Yeah, it was crazy. Everyone basically popped off. Bijan Robinson did great. T. Higgins,
Bijan did
Samuel.
So good for you.
And then the Steelers, it was projected 7 points. I got 27. So it got bad.
From a defense, when you get 2 pick sixes in the game, including one on the first throw of the game, it tends to break off 154 to 118, the final there.
Oh, so, 154, damn.
Yeah, 154.6 to 118.8. So overall, for both of you next week, both of you move on to and Kirby, what are you doing?
I'm feeling good about next week. So my opponent next week, their running back is Nick Chubb. So
I'm feeling
pretty good.
I felt bad for Cordy. So my friend got absolutely snaked on the waiver wire because she lost Nick Chubb. She has Saquon Barkley, who also got hurt. And then I used my waiver wire on Jerome Ford. And because unfortunately for her, she's in California. And another person in our league is in Ohio. And as soon as Kareem Hunt signed early in the morning, he got picked right away. And so, unfortunately, she was left very bridesmaidy in this situation, which I felt bad for.
Well, hey, that's one thing where all of our teams are hurting for running backs because I got screwed over by the fact that my running back was listed as questionable, and then with a game time decision, it was out. So we have no Austin Ekeler. Yeah, Austin Ekeler. They literally held him out until the last ragged minute. And here I am. I've basically got a millstone around my neck, and there it is. Austin Ekeler gone, but still a respectable effort. We lost the concussion protocol 119-97. The Chardonnay fighting cat girl dropped to 1-1. But
and by the way, Chelsea did have the highest score of
the week
season so far.
Yeah, of either week.
You know what? I feel pretty good about that.
It's not about you. I just had this crazy week. Your team is good.
Cordy scored 130 points on me week 1. I have a very high points against so far, and now I'm going against the Chubby Duckies this week, and so I'm not exactly looking forward because my friend Rhiannon has a lot of points. She's also doing very well this season, so it's going to be a real rough battle for.
You were also a preseason number 1 too.
I was. I have a good
Chelsea.
I
but
still
Chelsea, these numbers. Mahomes had 22, Bijan Robinson 22, T. Higgins 28, Devo 22, Steelers defense 27.
It's ridiculous. That shouldn't happen.
And you have Raheem Mostert on the bench at 26.
Yeah, so my new problem is, I don't know if you saw the trade that just took place between LA and Minnesota today, but my starting running back for Minnesota is no longer a starting running back.
Well, he does his best work as a backup. So
that's just not enough on my team.
No, it sure is. Well, have you ever heard of Jerome? I ever trade you Kenneth Gainwell. Oh, can we make a trade live on the podcast? I think I would really like that.
My problem is I'm a college football fan, so if you name someone who was great and Marcus Lattimore, I'll be like, hell yeah.
I'm gonna just pick up arbitrarily a Michigan running back just to trade him to you.
Oh, tell me who? Anthony Thomas? Is it Anthony Thomas? He's probably working at
there's got to be
auto insurance right now, but it's fine.
Doesn't our league have a tampering rule for something like this? I'm just wondering.
Well, we do it above board.
This is a public platform. First off,
yeah, that's fair. If anything, this is the opposite of tampering, or maybe it's extra. Actually, it'd be if we went and talked to them.
Draymond Green would hella be doing this on a podcast right now, so
I would absolutely trade you a running back though, because I have a lot of good running backs actually.
Yeah, I don't getting NFL news on Twitter and being like, "Oh, this affects me now," because a few years ago it did not.
Picked up someone I had my eye on because you used your waiver claim on Geno Smith, and I was absolutely.
I did get Geno Smith.
I didn't want to use a second waiver claim, so I was hoping I could get him in the free agency this morning.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to do much for me. I think Aaron Rodgers, obviously.
Out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just looking quickly at my matchup for next week. Kelsey family minivan, okay, I might drop down to 1 and 2 after this thing's over, unless I can get some production from people. Still, the biggest questions are going to be my top three big guns, all questionable for the game. Burrow, who is limping at the end of it. Ekeler, who is literally game to game. And now even Captain Anime is also questionable for next week, and Jamal Williams. But here's the question: how much is he going to play anyway? Because Alvin Kamara comes back next week, so you really don't know. And meanwhile, Josh Allen, they've got a battery of Josh Allen, Travis Etienne, and now Cam Akers. So Jamar Chase, Mike Williams. Oh God, Darren Waller. Naya, you're the Giantsologist.
I think he's that. He is him. I like that pickup. I think
that was a great pickup.
Yeah, I think that's a good weapon for Daniel to have, because we don't really have any depth in the wide receiver chart right now. But I think he's very strong and he has hands, and I like him.
Now that's one thing with that in mind. So, favorite team? Are you liking where you are at 1 and 1? I mean,
we
why
allow
not?
60 unanswered points to start football. I'm losing my mind. I'm like, what's going on here? You know, the Cowboys putting up 40. I was heartbroken, and then we let the worst team in the league put up 20 points. I'm like, okay, do we want to play football this season or not? I think this week we have another very tough game coming up with the Niners. They're very good offense, very good defense, and we're lost on Saquon. He was ruled out today. I think our offensive guard and tackle are out too. It's just we're down on injuries and we're playing a really good team. So I already know that we're gonna get beat up on, and I'm ready for the slander. It's fine.
Well,
Do you mind if I ask, what jersey do you have? You were talking about burning a Giants jersey. Whose name is on it?
Eli Manning.
Wow.
I know.
I was like, it has to be Barkley, right? And I'm like, oh.
It was Eli. I was going
to throwback.
But then I had to really think about it. Like, Eli didn't do anything to me. It's fine. He won us a ring. Cool. I guess you're safe.
Yeah.
But
just because he looks like Daniel Jones doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's why they drafted him. I'm like, they must have thought this was Eli 2.0, but it's not.
Now, one thing across the league, right now, you've got this is the point of the season where really you start looking at teams you start looking at who's hot, who's not, and you already start thinking who's looking like they're out of it. Now, one thing is you've got a host of unbeaten teams. In the AFC, you've got 3: Dolphins, Ravens. You've got the Dolphins and the Ravens. You got 2 rather. I mean, I'll admit, when I first made the rundown, I thought the Browns would be number 3.
I thought they would be too.
I thought they'd be the third one. But no, Dolphins, Ravens, from what you've seen of them, are these both potential playoff teams?
I think yes. I'm just going to say, you guys don't know me, but Karleigh does know Odell is my favorite player in the entire world, so I'm an adopted Ravens fan, so I'm rooting for them very, very strongly.
God, I didn't know you rooted for the Baltimore Pigeons. Okay.
I'm rooting for them very strongly. I think it's the real deal. I mean, Lamar hasn't ever had a team with this many weapons, and he's still like an MVP caliber quarterback. I don't see any
any team with Lamar Jackson is in the running.
Yeah, so I definitely think that they're going to be a playoff contender. But then on the other hand, the Dolphins are also very, very scary. I do like them a lot. Like I said, Tua, he's doing his thing, and Tariq is unstoppable. Jalen Waddle, they just have too many weapons to not do well right now with their schedules.
Yeah, that's one
Coach
thing.
Mike McDaniel's he's taking so much advantage of all the speed on that team, and they're going to be a tough team to beat.
I love it. It's so entertaining.
Tua gets the ball out so fast. I was watching the game. I'm like, yo, he's throwing the ball in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, but also it doesn't hurt when you have a receiving core. It's basically a team full of Aniyah Bookers. You have
they're all fast.
You have a 4x100 meter sprint relay on there. I mean, I could see both of those teams, and I'll say it right now. I like the way that Lamar's playing. And I like the fact that, and it seems that more importantly, a healing has took place between that organization and Lamar after all that off-season drama. It seems like everybody had their come to Jesus moment. So people are playing well. Now, but in the NFC, you've got Cowboys unbeaten, you got Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, Falcons, Buccaneers, Saints, 49ers. You've got a whole bunch of teams at 2-0. Who's real? Who ain't?
I think the Eagles are real. I don't buy the Cowboys being real. I feel like
thank you.
It's
I don't
every few years,
ever.
Right?
I don't buy them ever. I don't want to talk about the Cowboys till playoffs.
Me when the Steelers come up, I getcha.
They suck in the playoffs. They do this every year. They come out strong and dominant Cowboys. This is our year, and then lose in the first round of playoffs.
Yep, every single year. It's always embarrassing too. It's like the Tony Romo Seattle play.
Loss,
Now, team I'm looking at, like, I think no one's really talked about is the 49ers.
I was gonna say, I think
49ers look
the
stout.
49ers are the
They
real.
look stout.
They're
I
the
could see
real
them going to
deal.
the NFC Championship again. I could see it.
Now,
Yeah, they're
now
just a good team.
Hmm.
but there's one person in particular. I think he's going to have a great year, and he's hitting his stride. And I think based on these first couple games, he's hitting his stride, and that's Christian McCaffrey.
A dog. He's a dog.
Yes,
Run
he has.
CMC has won me multiple fantasy leagues. I'm always a big fan. Like,
But the biggest thing
He's
is
great.
he's not just being final. I think he's finally hitting his stride as a total running back. He's good. We already know he has big play potential, but this year he's also showing it. But he's also showing that, hey, we can count on him between the tackles too. We can count on him between the tackles. He can get to study 4 or 5 yards when we need it. And I think he's finally found the team where he's a good offensive fit. And
Right.
the biggest thing is, as long as they can keep Brock Purdy upright, this is a formidable team. And their defense, I think people do not talk about enough. That is a strong,
They helped
stout
me
defense.
feel the 7 points. I'm watching them. I think they're really nice. For
No,
sure.
they're a strong, stout team. Now, as we head into week 3, heading out of the segment, we're going to go around the horn. Aniyah, what game are you watching? What game are you most interested in this week on the NFL schedule?
Honestly, I want to see the Falcons and the Lions. I think that's going to be a decent game. They both have 2 good head coaches, and they are both doing well so far. So I want to see.
Falcons, Lions. Chelsea, how about you?
The Broncos and the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are just like the most entertaining team right now. Just like even college or pro, just like their amount of speed right now with Mostert, Hill, Waddle, and then Tua just like getting it out there immediately. It's just so entertaining. I don't know if it's going to work long term, but I also want to see how Denver kind of bounces back after kind of that wasted miracle.
because that would drop Denver to 0-3, wouldn't it?
I believe so.
Right?
Yeah,
And
that
so
would
I feel
drop.
like that is a
Yeah, it
really
would.
tough game. I feel like you don't want to say any game in week 3 is must win, but I feel like they need to make a statement. I know for me, I'm looking forward to. I have to see how the Browns do without Nick Chubb against Tennessee. That was the air was out of that team, and I think seeing how they respond to not just losing in a way of giving up, like you said, 2 touchdowns to the offense or to their by defense, like you can't have that. And so I want to see what they do. And if they're able to bounce back, because I think it will go a long way to show if they actually belong at the top of the AFC North, or if they're going to fight for 3rd place with the Bengals.
For me, to round it out, I like the Monday night doubleheader. I like both ends of that. First off, you've got a team I believe is real and a team that I think is not at this point. Eagles, I believe, are real. The Buccaneers, even though you know how I feel about Baker Mayfield, I'm not buying it. I like Baker, but I'm not buying. But I'm
I
not
honestly do
buying
not.
it.
There's no way
Valid.
the wheels don't come off of that. Like, having watched far too many Baker Mayfield games, I do not believe he's going through his patented good streak.
And on the other side, the LA Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals rematch of the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
That's a good game.
But no, that's a team where Utah. That is a team that for those 2 teams for psyche it's must win. The Rams need a win like that just to realize that no, we're in this race, because right now the 49ers look so formidable, and just behind a team like the Seahawks finding ways to win like they did last week in overtime. And for Cincinnati, the big question is, if Joe Burrow can't go, is that the season?
Well, and I think them dropping to 0-3 with the Ravens looking like the front runners for the division, the Browns have a top 5 defense, and so that's going to keep them in games, even if Deshaun Watson shows that he's.
But also, given the way the AFC is, you don't want to dig in that hole, because like I said,
it's it's a brutal division, and I think I don't think the Bengals can afford to drop to 0-3 and hope to try and compete for the division.
I would agree with that. When we come back to the Gridiron Girls, and we're going to switch over, we're going to look at the college game. And of course, there's one name on everybody's lips, and you know what it is. Prime time. Prime time. More on the Rocky Mountain thrill ride that is Colorado football and more. But coming up next, it's Kirby's Corner.
All right, Curve. Hey, time to do the corner, buddy.
Karleigh, let's get one thing clear. I don't do stunts for your segment. It's not in my contract.
But it was cool, though.
Ah, whatever. Let's get on to the Kirby's Corner this week. All the cat teams, they were all clumps in the litter box, Karleigh. There's nothing more I can say than that. The Ravens beat the Bengals, the Chiefs beat the Jaguars, the Saints beat the Panthers, and, of course, the Lions, the team I bet on. They ruined my parlay, Karleigh, because they lost in overtime to the Seahawks. Really? The Seahawks? They don't have football in Seattle. All they have is rain and grunge. Name one good thing that comes out of Seattle.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get strong.
Besides, the song's old. Anyway, what's going on this week? Oh, the cat predictions, right? Yeah. Lions, Falcons. I'm going to take the Lions 28-24. Jaguars over the Texans. If Trevor Lawrence, if you can't beat the Texans, buddy, something's wrong. 31-16. And then the Panthers, they go out to that place to play the Seahawks. Can you believe it? I'm going to take the Seahawks. 28-17. And Bengals Rams. That was a Super Bowl. I remember that year. Good year to be a cat. Joe Burrow was incredible. Now he's limping around. If he plays, Bengals are going to win that one. I think they will. 21-14. Bengals over the Rams.
You're really grumpy today.
Well, you'd be grumpy too if you saw the entire cat division lose. But there is something that makes me happy. How about Southern last week? Got that first win, beat those Alabama A&M Bulldogs. See, cats don't lose to dogs. They did it 20-10. And there's more of the same. Southern plays out Arkansas Pine Bluff this week. And you know what? They're going to beat them too. 25-13. Jaguars get another win.
You gonna be in a better mood and quit being less grumpy?
Probably not, unless we start getting some wind.
And we can stop banging on Seattle. You know what's going to happen if Brittany and Jerica find out.
Call Brittany and Jerica. I ain't afraid of them. Come on, take them and the pronouns. I got this. They ain't ready for the big cat.
Now, Kirby, did you really have to diss Seattle? Now you got Jerica and Brittany into it. Lord. I love my kitty, but she can be a pain. Welcome back to the Gridiron Girls. I'm Karleigh. She's Chelsea. She's Shauna, and our special guest Aniyah's with us. And now we're talking about some college ball and prime time in overtime. Colorado beating Colorado State in a game that had glitz, glamour, Hollywood, drama, and offense. Intrigue with that cheap shot and a frantic finish. I mean,
if you were to tell anyone 2 years ago, be like, biggest game of the season, Colorado State. It's going to be at 2 a.m. Eastern time, but it's going to have the highest ratings ever. Lil Wayne's going to be there. People be like, what are you talking about? There's no possible way that would happen. And it was like, I would say for sure the best game of the season so far. Like so much that Travis Hunter was in a local hospital during the game. It sounds like stuff that happens in like 1910 or something.
Like a movie.
Right? Like,
yeah.
The whole game felt like it was supposed to be a movie scene. Like, Is this real?
The crowds storming the field at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Just like so much stuff that's like, this isn't what that rivalry is or ever really was.
So early in the season, and like the hype behind it is just like, wow, okay, prime time. I see where you're going with this.
Well, one thing, if you haven't seen the cinematic highlight from the University of Colorado this game, do so, because it is 7 minutes well spent. And for those of you out there in the liner note, in the comment section, we are going to put the link to it because you need to watch this. It was that good. I mean, kudos to the video staff at the University of Colorado Athletics because you put something great together. But is this the week that Coach Prime turns into a pumpkin? Because now you got Oregon. They're a top 10 team.
Probably, but we've literally said this every single week so far. Is this the week where they get exposed?
I just think, for Colorado to be coming in this season unranked, he has the hardest schedule. Like, why are we playing all these crazy teams and we were just unranked?
They won one game last year.
Exactly.
One singular game.
Why? How does this make sense? It's literally because Coach Prime. Now you guys want to throw all these powerhouse teams at him because of who he is, but like any other unranked team is not facing this hard of a schedule.
Yeah, they have Oregon next week,
they're an unranked team, and
then USC.
For one thing, they're an unranked team, yes, but they are in a major conference or a major conference that's about to die, but still a major conference. But these next 4 weeks, you've got the next 5 games. You're going to have 3 ranked opponents. You have Oregon this week, at Oregon, USC back at home, then at Arizona State, then you host Stanford, and I think Stanford lost to Sacramento State. That's all you need to know. And then at UCLA, and then Oregon State.
Let's say they win their next 3 games. Where do you have them ranked? Do you have them in the top 4?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do. I'm like sold on it. Right?
Especially like if Travis Hunter is out at least another 2 weeks and they still win.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I'm sold. Because if they beat USC and Oregon, sure, why not?
Caleb,
because Oregon's currently ranked 10th, so I think that would be a real.
Down the rest of the season, you have a potential 6 ranked teams. If you saw the Hunter incident, 1, thoughts on the incident. Number 2, how will this affect Colorado to have a player of that caliber out?
I mean, it was one of the dirtiest shots I feel like we've seen on like a primetime game.
Oh, it's definitely premeditated.
Completely fucked up. I don't know. They bounced back from it. I feel like we've continuously doubted Colorado. Like first week of this podcast, I was like, they're gonna lose to TCU by a lot.
I'm gonna
be
call
crazy.
it right now. Colorado will win that game.
Wow.
I think Colorado will pull that upset.
But did you see what TCU did to Michigan last year? I was wrong. They blew out Nebraska. I assumed they were going to beat Colorado State by a lot more, but they came back and won in overtime. Like, sure, why not?
As the person who did say they're going to beat TCU, I saw that coming.
You did, yeah.
I saw that coming. Now, I'm going to give you one more. I think they're going to win this one too.
So I think they're going to lose. I think this is closer.
I would assume they're going to lose.
I think they're going to win this one, but lose USC. But I think the fulcrum of why they'll win this one is people are going to find out. If you didn't know how good Shedeur Sanders is, you're going to find out next week. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to put up another gritty effort, and I'm going to say it. I am bullish on Shedeur Sanders because of what I saw on that 98-yard drive. What I saw on that.
Is it in Eugene or Boulder?
It's in Eugene.
Like, we practice these pressure moments in practice, and like, I'm like, dude, you're NFL ready. You can do it. I'm ready. I'm sold on him.
But I saw him make throws and I don't mean like college throws. Those look like Sunday balls.
That's what
No, especially the one touchdown after Hunter got hurt, where he threw it on a laser. The touchdown late, where another one, he was throwing ropes. I mean, he wasn't leaping
dog in him. He just has that dog in him. I'm telling you, man. I'm taking him over Caleb Williams next week. I think he might show out a little bit next week, just because all the hype behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling what'll happen in this game is he's going to find a way to pull it out against Oregon, because there's a lot of people think that Bo Nix is a better quarterback, and I'm not. But I will say this right now: I don't buy Bo Nix.
Really,
I don't buy. I've never really bought Bo Nix. I've never really bought him.
I bought him at Oregon. I feel like he was just in such a toxic situation before that.
I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not. But I see him like the Dave Matthews Band of quarterbacks. He's good. He's not as good as his fans think he is. I
have different opinions on Dave Matthews, but we'll leave that there.
He's Bo Nix, not Patrick Nix.
Or Stevie
I went
Nicks.
there. Or no one's Stevie Nicks.
Well, that's true.
I feel like it's crazy that we're talking about college football and we haven't even talked about the Notre Dame Ohio State matchup. And I feel like
we're going to.
I feel like that also says how much collectively Colorado has really captured all the air in the room. And
the main reason why to me is Deion. It's Deion.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, when's the last time that college football has had this type of electricity?
You got Deion, got both his sons on the field. Who doesn't want to watch him?
It's great.
And this is what's getting the young. See, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of people don't like Deion. And we know this. Deion's a very polarizing figure. But who's liking some Deion? The same people that are going to be picking up EA College Football 2024 with Deion in it.
Yeah, I can't imagine how fun that game's going to be with Colorado in it. Totally changes the scape of it.
Because the fact of the matter is, the young fans, the holy grail of a lot of things that sports needs right now. Right now, the young fans are gravitating to this, and I think that's the flavor. The flavor and the culture is there. But let's talk about Ohio State and Notre Dame. That is the first college football playoff eliminator game this season.
You don't think? I thought Texas and Alabama probably was, as well as the maybe this weekend with Oregon and Colorado. I know it sounds a little crazy, but
no, it doesn't. But when I think of a game that you saw this coming from the beginning of the season, a lot of people saw Alabama beating Texas. And it turns out that Alabama had three quarterbacks. You know what they say? If you have three quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. This is good. No, this Ohio State and Notre Dame. I'm fired up for this, because that's going to be some good football.
I feel like Notre Dame really found their quarterback. I think Sam Hartman is really who they've been searching for a really long time. And my hatred of both teams were nearly the same before. But honestly, the last few years of Notre Dame, they've kind of won me over a little bit. I still obviously hate Notre Dame, as any Michigan fan should, but they're exciting, and I really am genuinely wanting them to beat Ohio State.
Oh, really? You want Ohio State to lose?
Honestly, before
Chelsea coming out with the big statement that I'm very surprised to hear.
Genuinely, before the same when they played Michigan State, I'd be like, I hate both these teams. Either way, one's gonna lose. Too bad they both can't lose. Now I'm actually like I have some Notre Dame fans in my family who are going to my engagement party. I'm like, if they knock them off, I'm going to be like, thank you. Good job. I used to hate everything to do with your beliefs, but now it's okay.
And I like that you notably mean Notre Dame football, not Catholicism. And I think that's an important... I mean, they're related, but also...
Well, my nickname for Notre Dame is always the Vatican, because somehow Notre Dame always felt that we're Notre Dame. We're just a little bit better than everybody else.
And I grew up hating Notre Dame, so I can't say much because, like, my dad was a staunch Alabama fan, and Alabama Notre Dame, like, I've always grown up being against them, which, going to, again, a lot of Catholic school as a kid, there were a lot of Notre Dame fans.
Now,
Yeah, I feel like it's shoved down your throat if you're Catholic. Like, you have to. It's just...
well, of course, even if you go to a Catholic high school and you're not a Catholic, Notre Dame is always there.
Mhm.
Now, around the horn, who you got? Who you got for first off, for these two games, who you got? First, Colorado, Oregon. Quick, one word answer, who you got? I'm taking Colorado.
Oregon.
Now you taking...
Yeah, I'm taking Colorado.
Colorado.
Okay, wow.
Now, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I got Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Ohio State.
Notre Dame.
Now,
I'll be the lone dissenter here.
They are entertaining to watch right now.
Yeah, they've
Also-
played so good the last few weeks, and I don't know. I think it's gonna be hard to win at Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why I'm leaning a little towards Notre Dame to a
Mhm.
home field advantage. They're playing well. I think they're going to keep the ball rolling this week.
taking a quick look at the top 20, at the top 25, or at least the top 5 of it. Georgia's still number 1, Michigan at 2,
Mhm.
Texas. The media has Texas at 3. Coaches have Florida State at 3. Quick answer: should Florida State drop? Should they drop? Should they remain? Do they deserve to remain there after what happened at Boston College?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone this week kind of showed they're not that good. And I feel like there's always a few weeks of college football where every team looks kind of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this was one of the last weeks of the season, I think they should definitely deserve to drop. But they're still in tune-up time, and I think everyone gets a bit of a mulligan to start the season.
Well, one team that didn't get a mulligan was Alabama. Alabama dropped 3 more spots.
Alabama is. Whew.
That's what happens when you start losing to like Southern Florida. Like you kind of deserve it.
I'm gonna say it right now. Discuss. Nick Saban panicked over a quarterback. He panicked.
Yep.
I agree, and I think you can see it by the fact that he's already going back to his original starter.
Which he should have did. Like, he should have did that. Like, have faith in him. He went through camp. You trusted him to start just because he threw those 2 picks against Texas. Okay.
Yeah, you lost to a top 5 team. Like,
and see, that's the thing that gets me. It isn't like he lost to a slouch team. He didn't lose to Sacramento State. He lost to a ranked team and a good ranked team in really the kid's first big game as a starter, and did not play badly.
Come on.
And here's the thing: he didn't play badly. See, a lot of people say we didn't complete a lot of passes. No, they threw downfield most of the game. And when you get a young quarterback and he's got a strong arm, he's got good legs, and you're throwing downfield, you're going to get a 51% completion rate. I don't mind the big arm. I like a big arm downfield quarterback. I'll take the incompletions if we hit money. I just think the fact of the matter is Alabama right now is developing new talent. They got a lot of raw talent.
Like, I think that he kind of overreacted, and that's why he dealt with what he dealt with the 3 quarterbacks last week. So I think he got to kind of relax a little bit.
I think this kid's going to be okay the rest of the season. I don't see them losing to Ole Miss. I do not see that happening. I don't think this Alabama team will not make the college football playoff, but they will make things interesting. And just a closing note: good game of the week. I don't think people are going to watch, but should. The battle of the 2 teams that still need a conference: Oregon State at Washington State. And the interesting thing is, if things shake out, I'll call it the winner of that game in one way or another will factor in to the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah, I could definitely see
Winner of that game will factor in. And in fact, I'm going to go one farther. Jerica, Brittany, I'm going to say it. Washington State beats Oregon State. Cam
I
Ward.
could see that.
Believe in Cam Ward. I'm going to say it right now. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in the Pac-12. You're not talking about. This week you'll find out why. We're going to head over to the commercial break, but when we come back, more about our guest analyst. It's a rarity when you not only get a player, but you get a great player in our midst. And I'm going to tell you right now, Aniyah Booker, she's just that dog. I'm going to say that right now as a teammate. That and more coming up in our last call segment. I'm Karleigh, along with Chelsea, Shauna, Aniyah. You're the Gridiron Girls. We'll be back.
What do you say to people who say, you are hurting me? You are hurting people I care about. You are hurting my community. You are causing pain.
I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe.
The NCAA forced female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male who was fully intact with male genitalia.
I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe. Leah became the first male to win a national title on the women's side. I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe. Not only were my teammates and the other female swimmers and I forced to compete against this 6'4" biological man. I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe.
Look, I know the guidelines for the competition, but what are the guidelines that just allowed this man into our locker room?
I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe.
The NCAA is a perverted organization. They platformed a biological male who won a national championship. Someone should have just took care of it the way we used to take care of things in the 1950s or 60s.
I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe. I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe.
I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe. I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe. I don't want to be considered a bigot or a transphobe.
Aniyah Booker! She's going to take this all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. Down the sideline, and she is going to take it to the house. Aniyah Booker.
Did you like what you just saw? Well, imagine if you get to see that from field level. This past football season with Reapers Women's Football, I did. Welcome back to the Gridiron Girls, and bringing alongside with Chelsea and Shauna, we got Aniyah Booker here. So Aniyah, I just want to know, are you the fastest player in women's football?
I am, respectfully.
Hell yeah.
I earned that title about 2 years ago, and I've just been maintaining it ever since. It's not another player that really could keep up with me.
She's not kidding. I tried. I remember during those winter preseason practices up at the sport dome, running those sprints, and here I'm running as fast as I can. I'm like, who the heck is? I was like, catching you. I was like, I'm going to hurt something catching you. I was like, after I was like, no, I'm just going to run my speed. This is whole different. Now, what got you playing tackle football?
Honestly, I always wanted to play football, and it was never really an option. My high school, didn't even think to allow me to play. I even, reached out to the athletic director and asked to be the kicker. He was just like, no, you're too small, all the liabilities because I'm a girl and whatever the case may be. So, I just did some research on if there was any leagues or anything, and I came across the Reapers, and I went out and I met the group of girls, and not playing any football, I just like knew that I belonged there, and they were so welcoming, and they wanted to teach me. I've been an athlete, so I already knew that I could perform. I just needed a little tweaks and to be taught the football knowledge, but it was all just really Sonia and Sam. My quarterback, Sonia's the owner of the team, but they were very, very welcoming, and I'm here to stay now.
Well, what sport were you playing before you dove into football?
I was a basketball player in high school. I dabbled in track as well.
No, should have guessed.
Right. Honestly speaking, guys, like I didn't take track seriously, but if I did, I probably would be like nationally ranked. I run like boy times, like literally.
Now, one thing you were talking about the team, I want you to complete this sentence for me. Invest in women's football because of blank.
Invest in women's football because we're dope. Like we're doing tackle football. We're doing the same thing that dudes are doing, putting the same effort. Just because we're not 6'5" and 330 pounds doesn't mean it's not the same hard hitting football, you know. If you give us a chance, it's entertaining and it's the same thing. It's not the lingerie leagues or anything that like people think of when they think women's football. They think it's soft and it's like no, we're putting our life on the line in every game the same way these dudes do in all these other leagues too.
Now that's one thing that I saw that hit you laid down against the Milford All-Stars in that one game where you like cut girl in half. You ain't soft now.
I am not. I really love playing defense. You know, I'm an offensive player at heart, but whenever they tell me to play defense, I'm ready to go. I love it.
What are your preferred positions to play?
I start wide receiver, like that's my thing for sure. But I actually really like playing running back because I don't have the pressure of catching the ball, and I already know the ball is right in my hands. And I'm really good at playing free safety. I've learned that this past year. My ability to like read the quarterback and just see everything on the field and react super quickly is like really beneficial to my team. So I like to be able to do that on both ends of the ball. I really see myself as like, you know, the Travis Hunter of girls football right now because I play both ends of the ball very, very well.
Were there any players that you like really modeled your game around that you grew up watching?
Odell Beckham. I love him for sure.
That's why you're number 3, right? That's why you were 13-3.
Yeah. Also Victor Cruz from the Giants. I love him as well. Michael Vick. I love him. There's a lot of NFL players that I used to watch growing up with my dad, and I think they had a big impact on me playing and like my playing style. If you ever watch me play, and like I'm a little flashy here and there, but you know when it comes down to it, I get the job done when it's needed.
And, you know, you have fun with it, and I think there's something to be said for that. Like, as you're playing a game, you should be having fun doing it. Right. And I love seeing, you know, players adding their flair to their game. I think that's such a great thing.
For sure.
That's one thing, and now it's got some flair. Even the pregame drip. The pregame drip, the visor, headset, headphones for the game.
Yeah, I've been locked in, you know. The team
locked in.
On the field. I got my headphones on, and I'm doing my thing. I'm getting in my zone, and it's game time.
See, no, the only question I have you ever thought about playing dodgeball? Because
Shauna plays some dodgeball. She on fire. She fire with that.
I love playing sports. I love being active. Anything to like keep me in good shape. And
see, if you find a dodgeball league, I definitely recommend it because I think you would really appreciate it because there's a lot of quickness to it. It's all the best parts of sports because it's throwing, it's like running, catching, you know, throwing, like
is and everything.
You can use that shiftiness and style and like really like, you know, I'm a big fan, and
you're building the sport.
Absolutely,
you're recruiting.
And women's dodgeball is a great and growing sport. And like this past season, I played on the USA Dodgeball Premier Tour, and so like we traveled all across the United States, like playing in these dodgeball tournaments. And I love that there's like space for like women's team.
Everything. Like I didn't even know there would be like dodgeball tournaments or like a dodgeball league. That's like so
Oh yeah, and like one of the big thing is like people love like highlights. It's like such a like so there's like a lot of like videography going on too. It's a really cool like subculture of sport going on.
One thing, we've ran some of Shauna's dodgeball highlights.
Yeah.
We did a breakdown.
You have some good ones.
Yeah, we did a Shauna breakdown because that left is lethal. That's another thing. Shauna throws lefty and Shauna's lethal.
Oh yeah.
Now one thing. I want a couple questions here on the tail end. First, talk about the Reapers as a team. What's it been like just being a part of the team and the people on it? Because it's a small team, but tight knit.
Yeah, so the Reapers organization, we're small, we are growing, but it's a family. We're very welcoming. Our head coach Gary, he's a great guy. He's very patient. If you've never touched a football, he will teach you everything you need to know. Sonia, the owner, again, she just wants anyone who wants to be there, so she's gonna do everything she can to get you there. If you have any doubts, she's gonna try and ease the pain and make it easy transition to get you on the team. And then
we love easy transitions on this podcast,
right?
Yes,
and then the players, most of them, like they've been playing, and then we have some new players. Like I'm fairly new to playing football. This is now my 4th year, but we have people that just started this week. Like people that just started last year. It's just so many people. It's people who played football for 20 years plus and know so much about women's type of football. It's so many different people on the team to where like I feel like I networked with so many different types of people. I have connections to Karleigh, who does videography. I have connections to a professor. I have connections to a therapist. I have connections to a teacher. I have connections to anybody that really on the team. They bring something different to the table, and I think it really makes us different.
Now, one thing I want to know though, whose bright idea was it letting 46 out there? Whose idea was that?
I think it was me. I think me and the whole team kind of played a part to it, but when everyone met Karleigh and the first day she came to tryouts, I was just like, all right, I'm sold. Let's do this. I knew like Karleigh's so like aggressive and she wants to know plays, and like from day one she's just, I'm here, I want to play, and I'm giving you 110% on every single play, practice, whatever it is. And I love that energy because like she didn't even know any of us, and it just felt like, I'm here to play, I'm here to stay. So I'm like, all right, she's here to play. Let's get her a jersey.
See, that's what was cool. Because at first I was like, are these people going to even let me play? I was like, were these people even going to take me serious? Because I first met team at West Hartford Pride, and I was like, okay, this team is not going to take me seriously. They're going to laugh me right out of here. Then I showed up at practice, and then next thing you know, we're at the Sport Dome at 6, freezing our butts off, getting ready, getting it on. It's been a fun time. And one thing, for somebody who said they was new to football, you bringing the goods and the knowledge this week. The Reapers will be at New Haven Pride this week.
We will.
We will be at New Haven Pride this week. Players want it. Players need it. There's a sisterhood in New Jersey waiting for you. I will definitely be there. I
promise you guys. We take anybody who wants to learn to play. Even if you want to be a water girl and just whatever you want to do to the team, we'll take you. So come join us.
But if you look like you can play, we're going to coach you into a uniform.
I'll put my spare helmet on you and give you a go if you look like you could go. So
because I remember I was like, I could do video for you. I was like, and then Valentino comes out, you look like you could play a little bit.
Right? Yeah. No video. We don't need that.
No, it was one of the great things in my. With that in mind, at the end of the line. We're at the part where we call the last call, and this is 1 to 2 minutes on anything you want to dish on. And Aniyah, since you're our guest, you get to go first. The floor is yours.
All right, cool. So something I saw today, honestly, just scrolling through social media, I thought was a little cool was for the Lions game this week, the coin flipper is gonna be that girl that got her she had the 4-year scholarship or something to a college, and she's the first female football player to play on a all men's roster and get a full scholarship. And I was like, okay, wait a second. If she could do this, maybe I could do this. I'm watching her highlights and I'm like, I'm kind of just as nice as her. So where's my scholarship? But I do think that, the NFL is looking more into women's tackle football, and I love it. I love the opportunity and the sponsorship opportunities that's going to come with it. And I'm really excited for where women's football is going to go in the next couple of years for sure.
Shauna, I want you to go because I want you to go a little bit longer because you're talking about there's something near and dear to you that you want to get at.
Absolutely. And it's all about a girl who really loves reptiles. So I watched this really great YouTube video. It's called Pablo Finds Out, and it's about a former ESPN writer, Pablo Torre, who does different series. And he recently went over and talked to Ember Zelch, who is a backup catcher who was the only trans girl in Ohio when they were being targeted with with negative legislation banning trans women and girls from playing sports with other women and girls. And I think it's a really great look at how she's just someone who just loves the game and loves playing and just liked the community and sport, and how those are really the important things, even more so than winning or being good. And I kind of loved how they focused on how she's just mediocre, that she's hoping to hit her first home run, not her 50th. She's just wanting to be on the field and try her best. And really, that's all we're doing. And I would say, as someone who's always been someone whose best sports trait is that I try hard, I just really saw a lot of myself in Ember. And I thought it was really cool to see her story get told, and especially with how important it is that those stories get told.
Chelsea, your move.
Yeah, this week, Baltimore's own John Waters got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I create queer porn for a living, so he's a huge influence on creating weird smut that makes people scream in a theater. Huge influence. Actually, when I shot with Bailey J in New York, we ran into him directly before, and he gave us a well wish. And ultimately, we won this award because of that scene. So, John Waters, thank you for that. He's really the king of filth. He's been doing crazy movies since the 60s. I highly suggest checking out Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, Crybaby, or if you want something a little more kid-friendly, do Hairspray. So I highly suggest after all the games are over, do a popper, get ready to laugh, cringe, scream, and experience one of the greatest queer living filmmakers.
I really I don't know which name drop I prefer, Bailey J or John Waters there, and I think they're both pretty great, so just...
That was my first time in New York City. It was a fucking lot. It was a lot.
I mean, those are two. See, when it comes to the name drops, no one does it like Chelsea does it. On my last call this week, we'll talk about a couple of journalists and a couple of members of a maligned generation. First, been reading Outsports lately. May have ran across a story by my colleague Ken Schultz. It's about a high school quarterback in Missouri who transferred schools because his old school he felt was an unsafe environment. Homophobic and racist rhetoric constantly from coaches on their football team. He had enough. He transferred. Now his old school, because of the accusations, decided to challenge the transfer. Things that make you go, Can Ken Schultz did a good job on this story. You should read it. And also, there's the job that Pablo Torre did in his podcast, former ESPN talent, now an independent reporter. On his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, had a very interesting story. The story of a young lady in Ohio named Ember Zelch. Ember Zelch is the backup catcher on her high school softball team. Ember Zelch is also the target of anti-trans legislation in Ohio because, you see, she's a transgender girl. She's the only transgender girl playing high school sport in the state of Ohio right now. And she's the target of those who are using transphobia to try and make cheap political points. Pablo did an excellent job in the interview with her, in the story surrounding her. It's a good watch and a good listen. They not only did themselves a great service, they did this craft a great service. And as a fellow journalist, I salute them. But I also salute this young quarterback in Missouri and this backup catcher in Ohio for what they represent. You see, they are members of Generation Z. You know that generation, the generation that's ruined everything the same way that every young generation is seen to ruin everything throughout history. But this generation, they've taken some hits from a lot of people. People say they're too soft and they're entitled and they can't take things and they're so sensitive about everything. When the reality is, this generation isn't taking it anymore. This generation is saying no to bullying. No, we're not cruel kids. No, we're not okay with racism. We're not okay with homophobia or sexism. We're not okay with the creeping transphobia that's hurting our friends, that's hurting our peers. And we will speak and we will act. So in the cases of both of these young people, I say good on them, and I stand right with you. Because you're both doing your society, and a part of society we all love, sport, a great service by speaking out. Thank you. A special thanks to my teammate, my friend, my sister, my reaper, Aniyah Booker. Thank you for being on the Gridiron Girls.
I was about to say, whenever you guys want me back, just let me know. I'm down to talk. You guys are great. I loved it.
This was a blast. Thank you so much for joining
us. Great. Yeah, it's so nice to meet you. This was amazing.
It definitely was. And we want to thank all of you out there who download and watch this podcast and listen to it. And just a reminder, if there's something you want to see or something you want to say about what we're doing here at the Gridiron Girls, leave a comment on YouTube. Leave it on our Instagram page. Remember, everything we do at the Gridiron Girls, we do for all of you, the people who support us. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
I'm Shauna Adkison.
It was fun, for real. I thank you guys so much for having me up here, man.
Thank you for being here, Aniyah. We're going to want you back, and thanks to all of you. That's the Gridiron Girls for this week. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace out, guys.